Well, good evening, my friends. Kevin the Comic Doctor coming to you with my now, I guess, weekly Tuesday show. And today's show is a live unboxing featuring just one box of CGC with a lot of very big books. You're going to want to stick around for that. And then following the unboxing, we're going to talk a bit about the Marvels, the latest MCU installment. And I want to talk specifically about whether or not the movies really do have an impact on the comics we love to collect. Hey guys, I'm Kevin the Comic Doctor. I'm a comic book presser. I'm also an authorized CGC dealer located way up in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. And like I said, this is my weekly show, Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. I'm trying to keep to that schedule. So far, so good. Guys, hope you're doing well. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. We talk about everything to do with comic books. If you love comic book art, if you want to see what's hot currently in the comic book market, this is the place for you. I sure hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel, and by doing so, actually, you can take part in our live chat, which is going on right now. I see some guys chatting away over there. Why don't you join us as well? But you must subscribe in order to do so, okay? All right, let's get to it, guys. I start off with a really big book, actually, that comes to us. Let me find the overhead cam, which is right there. Yeah, right there. And this was a crack and resub that came back the exact same grade. And this one made me worry. In fact, a couple of books in today's submission made me worry. Because guys, you know, when you do the whole CPR thing, we've talked a lot about CPR here on the channel. You know, let's crack, press, resubmit. And to be honest, the results, the outcome of performing such a task is usually positive. I'm like, the majority of the time, it's good news, but it's not always good news. You know, myself and many other pressers out there, we don't share the failures. We only share the successes. But anyone who tells it it's a foolproof endeavor, they're full of baloney. It's not. But I can say honestly and with all sincerity that usually, and I'm saying probably 90 plus percent of the time, 90% plus, you are seeing an improvement in grade. Now, in this instance right here, this is Lex's book from down south. How you doing, Lex? This one came back the exact same grade. Now, whoops, there's some white fluff on my. I don't like that. Don't like the white fluff on the arm. Was it a white fluff? There we go. Yeah. As soon as we cracked this one, I inspected, I was kind of nervous. I'm like, oh man, this book ain't going to get a 9.8. I had to, you know, so what I was trying to do is maintain that 9.6. Because look at that, 9.6 white pager. That's a crazy grade. Now, I'm not sure if that book was a white pager to begin with. It might have been an off-white. I have to check my notes. But anyways, we maintained the 9.6. Thank goodness. I was so happy. Now, the next one, yeah. Now, this one was a bit of good. And I was a bit worried about this one, too. A really early ASM book. This is a number 34. This one here was an 8.5, and now it's bumped to a 9.2. Also a white pager. I'm not sure of the page quality on this one. This is the good news, right? This is a success. So very happy to see the book bump from an 8.5 to a 9.2. Quite a jump on that one. So congratulations, Lex. Now, Lex also had a bunch of modern books as well that were submitted. A few were crack and resub. And those will be coming back soon, and we'll share those with you in a future unboxing. All right, let's see what else we have here. Nice copy. Now, I got to be checking these slabs for cracks. Very nice to see it. Fantastic Four annual number 2 in an 8.5. That's a nice grade on that book. All right, there's some nice grades here. And look at this stack of invoices. This is a lot of different orders in this particular box. All right, next we have another, gorgeous, 8.5. Oh, these could be John's books, I think. Logan/John. These could be their books. 8.5. I'm not 100%. I don't have, guys, I just don't know whose or whose. There's a book in here that I know, like I knew Lex's books, and I know there's another book in here that belongs to Ron, for sure, and you'll see why in a second, but I've seen a few of these in the last few weeks, so I'm not sure exactly who this belongs to, but nice grade, 8.5 on both of those square bound books, which is fantastic. And here it is. This is the big kahuna, guys. Anybody have GPA kicking around? Have a look at this. Cinderella Love, number 25. Matt Baker covers a very famous one of the most expensive Matt Baker covers, romance covers from 1954. Now, when Ron brought this into me, and Ron dropped this off at the last Toronto Comic Book Show, you know, the book was gorgeous to begin with, and I figured we're looking at probably a 7 as it is. I was hoping this book would get a 7.5, and man, fingers crossed for an 8.0. Only one 8.0 in the census like this. Gorgeous book. Take a look at the back as well, and a book you don't see very often. The book does have a little chip right in the top corner here. And I think if it wasn't for that chip there, we may have hit that 8 mark. But a gorgeous book. Very high-end book, guys. Check out that GP on this baby. This is a big book. Next we have an Incredible Hulk 181 in a 9.0. And I told you, this today's unboxing, just one box alone is way over $35K. That Cinderella Love book right there is, I think, north of 30. And some really gorgeous books here. Okay, so we got Hulk 181. Again, I say that the books I've pressed the most this year, Hulk 181 and this very next book right here, Ultimate Fallout 4 in a 9.2 white pager. I think I've pressed, me and the team have pressed, I can't even tell you. I don't want to say hundreds, but I wouldn't be a damn bit surprised. There's tons and tons of these books. All right, so my stack is now high. So I'm going to go to the chat, see who's here. Again, if you're new here, guys, say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. Always great to meet new people here on the channel. All right, where's my chat? Right there. I'll scroll her down so I can see. The P-Man was first here. How you doing, Troy? How you doing? Carlo's here. What's up, Doc? Carlo, good news for you too. Your X-Men 1 and your giant size X-Men are on their way back as we speak, which is pretty awesome. And yes, I do know the grades. If you want to know them, I can tell you now, but that's if you want, or you can wait for the surprise. Random question, just bought a Superman 5760 as Canadian printing. Anybody know how that affects the value? Is Canadian because of the shorter print run more valuable, or the US? I know that was a thing with a lot of those early Wiz books too. I don't know, Carlo. I'm not sure. I'm certainly not an expert on that, so I don't know. Perhaps someone in the chat room can help you with valuing the Canadian prices. I don't. If it doesn't affect the pricing, it will, I think, stay the same. I don't think it negatively impacts it anyway. So if you've got a Canadian book versus an American book in one of these Golden Age books, I don't think it makes a difference. I could be wrong. Perhaps one of our listeners here, or watchers, or viewers who know a little thing or two about the Canadian price variance in Golden Age Superman book can speak up. How you doing, John? Robert's here. How you doing? PhD and Noob says, hey, all, hope all is well. James is here as well. Eric's here. Sam says, nice to see you on the weekend, Kevin. Love the new store. Thanks, Sam. Great to see you as well. It was a pretty successful day, as you all know. Matt from Comic Link came in on Saturday, and he was pretty much busy we were there from noon till 5. He was steady from noon till 4. 4 to 5 was kind of quiet, but that's okay. It was nice to have a break. But he was consistently dealing with people, so I'm glad. I hope that all works out for all of you. Again, all I was trying to do was give you guys some more opportunities to sell your books and give you more bang for your buck when you come to the shop, too. I want to try to do more of that sort of thing for you. And also look for me potentially doing more sales in the new year. I was doing some sales this time last year. I'll probably try to set up doing more sales again in the new year. Probably from the shop, actually. Eric says, not really more valuable, unfortunately. Guys do collect them, though, and they still have value. Some keys will garner good value, though, but not usually the same as the U.S. version. So you're saying the U.S. versions are worth less? Or, sorry, the Canadian versions, are worth less, Eric? Rule of thumb, Canadian copies, 10% of production compared to USA. But if you have a run book, not much price difference. Only if the key books are in high grade do you get the price. There you go. There's some good information for you there, Carlo. John says, don't forget to subscribe and like. John, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Brian's here as well. Saw Brian yesterday at the shop. John says, half of my latest submission are Canadian price variants. Yes. Oh, CPRs, sorry. Crack press, yes. That's right, they were. Again, I do it all the time too. When I have my own books that I would do them. And unfortunately, guys, if I could guarantee every single one was a bonus, I would do my own and shut down my shop and just do that constantly. But all we can do is try, and we can also just give you. I'm going to speak for all pressers here. Give you our best. I wouldn't say guess, but our best advice if whether or not a slab should be cracked. Right? If there's only so much we can see through the slab. Right? If there's really telltale signs that it shouldn't be. There's no way you can fix it, then that's great. But sometimes those telltale signs are just not visible through the acrylic, and you really have to take it out of the slab. So when I have a book like this, it's a 9.6. I've said this before, I don't like cracking 9.6 books. And I tell you, as soon as I cracked that one out, I was really nervous. I was, biting my fingernails, waiting for this one to come back. I was so happy it maintained the 9.6 at the very least. And I'm very happy the other one went up at least. So hopefully the other ones are good too. Bad Hombre, that was, in my opinion, not a very bright in sending in that Spidey 4A's resub for 9.6. The station was a 9.8. Yeah, I know. But sometimes you try, right? James says CGC 4.45 sold last year for $17,000 US. Now, Brian is talking about the Cinderella Love I just showed you guys. So there you go. $17.5 US for a 4.5. So this 7.5 is probably north of 35,000. I wouldn't be surprised if it's around 40. It's a very rare book, especially in that grade. So congratulations again, Ron. Carlos says, thanks, Bat and Eric. Jim Alaska, hail from Alaska. Jim, welcome, my friend. Welcome. Thanks for popping in. All the way from Alaska. That's great. Adam's here as well. Ron Hobbs. Oh, Ron's right here. It makes a difference. There's Ron. The owner of the Cinderella Love is right here watching along, guys. So again, congratulations, Ron, on that book. Yes, I know. I want to know, and if there are blue or not. Okay, so yes, Carlo, your books, as far as I know, are both blue. And I could tell you the X-Men 1 came back a 0.5. And then, by the way, guys, I'll be showing you guys this X-Men 1 probably probably next Tuesday, I would think. And this book, I didn't do anything to it. I did do one little thing to it, but I'll tell you about that when it comes in. You'll see why. But I just sent the book in as is because the press really wouldn't have garnered a higher grade. And so Carlo elected just to send it the way it was, and so I did. And the giant size X-Men is, as far as I know, a blue label, and I believe it's a 7 or a 7.5. So not bad. Not bad at all. So congrats on that, Carlo. But we'll know for sure next week. Okay, so let's keep going here. We have a Strange Tales 169, first appearance of Brother Voodoo in a 6.5. We've got a Marvel Spotlight number 5 in a 6.5 as well. First appearance of Ghost Rider right there. Now, this is kind of strange. Amazing Spider-Man 300 with apparent color touch. It says a small amount of color touch on cover. Well, that came back at 8.0. Come on. Another Hulk 181. I think there's 3 Hulk 181s in this box. Another one. This is coming back at a 7.0. That's not a bad looking book. Not a bad looking book at all. Then we have a awesome news for someone out there. I don't believe this is a reslab. I think this is just a grade. This is a 9.8 copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300. Been seeing a lot more of these lately. These were so hard to come by, and I think I've seen 4 or 5 in the last couple of months, which is awesome. So that's amazing. And again, it really looks great with the custom label. Some books just do. Holy cow, got a couple of bangers in here. We got a 7.0 ASM 129. And we also have a Hulk 181. This one is in an 8.0. And I believe these two guys were slab cracks too right here. This one here, this ASM 129, I believe was a can I go down a bit? There we go. Was a 6.5 bumped, 6 or 6.5 bumped to a 7. And the Hulk 181 is a downer, 8.5 down to an 8. So that's a bit of kick in the rear end, right? So these are the kind of things. And the scary thing about the Hulk 181, and this is a good lesson too, just because it's a super old label, because everyone thinks if it's an old label, it's going to bump for sure. It doesn't always. It doesn't always. Now, this is one I might look at again. Maybe may want to resend that back in again. I don't know yet. I'm going to talk with you. We're going to look over the book very carefully and see what our options are. Yeah, you win some, you lose some, guys. It does happen. And remember, I've always said it is a gamble. There's never a guarantee. More often than not, books are going up. I really, and I think most pressers who do this will agree. I probably see 90, 94%, 95% comeback going up. Probably about 2 or 3% go down, and maybe 2 or 3% stay the same. You know, we're in that range there. But especially lately. But the important thing is reviewing the book clearly before cracking it. And we did review this one. We both thought this one had room for improvement. The back of this one was quite dirty, actually. But they must have thought otherwise because they downgraded. Again, it could have been the grader. We'll see. Perhaps we'll send it back. All right, this stack is now full. Let's go back to the chat room. Ron Heb. Oh. So Eric says, those Golden Age Canadian copies of books sometimes cut out the story so they sometimes don't get the same value as the U.S. versions because you are missing a story on some issues. Now, Ron Hobbs also says Canadian is worth less. So there you go, Carlo. Take that to heart. Peter G's here. How you doing, Peter? Thank you, Kevin, for setting up Matt from Comic Link at your shop. Should be interesting to see the outcome with the January auction. Me too, man. I hope you guys all do well. It's a real weird time right now in our hobby, especially for selling. So I hope you guys do as well as you possibly can. John says, in my experience, Canadian editions are more valuable during a mystery annual, and CPVs are more valuable in high grade and low census count. Yeah, but then we're talking about now, we're going back to Golden Age stuff too. So it's a whole different bag of, there is even some Canadian price variants of modern stuff that aren't necessarily worth much more than their American counterparts. Again, I'm not an expert in this at all. I'm sure it's a numbers game. I don't know. I don't have enough experience with Canadian price variance and buying and selling to really speak to it. But it's great to have a lot of opinions here. A lot of you guys obviously have had experience with this sort of thing. So yeah, all the information you can provide for Carlo, it's appreciated. Awesome, Ron. Congrats, buddy. Beauty grade. Eric says, hi, John. We were talking about Golden Age books where it's a bit different. For Silver Age and newer like CPV key issues, yeah, in high grade, those can fetch more depending on the book. That's right. Frank is here. How you doing, Frank? Good to see you. Carlos says, yeah, Doc, yeah, it's good. Any books of mine, Kevin? I don't know, Frank. I think maybe your Hulk 181 goes out tomorrow, actually. That's where it's going. Tomorrow, she's on. I did not send any books to CGC last week. They're going out this week, and I feel bad because I forgot to add about 3 orders to tomorrow's shipment. So I might send a small shipment on Friday. I was like, oh no, I got home and I forgot, certain guys' books that I knew were ready to go. So those will probably go out on Friday, and at the very latest Monday. Bat says, any pulp magazine collectors in here? I am hooked. So yeah, Bad Hombre has been sending me all kinds of awesome books. And Bad Hombre, I wish I could share. I have so many here to share with you, but I was told I'm not allowed. I got about 80 of them here, and they're gorgeous. Some really big ones too, but the owner doesn't want them to be advertised or shown, so I can't show them. But yeah, they are, and they're not fun to work on. The pulp magazines are a little they're not, I wouldn't say they're difficult to work on, but they're a little more challenging than, say, your average comic. Easier though than a magazine, in my opinion. But yeah, the paper is so cheap, and they're formed the way they bind them. It's just so all over the place. There's no real consistency from one to the other. So yeah, they're a bit of a challenge, and a lot of them need a lot of hand tooling after the press. You got to go back and clean little areas up. Otherwise, yeah, it's just a bit of a mess. But I'm glad you're enjoying those, Bad Hombre. And now that CGC is grading them, you can send, if you find any real good ones, you can send them down for a grade. PhD and Noob. That Spidey 3 looks great with that. It does, man. The custom label, man, on some books just looks really good. That black, what's her name? Black Cat looks fantastic. Wolverine label on the Hulk 181 or on or any of the Hulk books looks great. It looks great on the 340, Hulk 340, you know. So yeah, I wish they'd come up with some more, you know, or bring. They brought the one Spider-Man one back, which is a much nicer Spider-Man, the Universal New York Spider-Man. It's a great one. Hopefully they'll bring some more soon. You know, we'll see. But I don't believe the label should make the book worth more. Some guys I see advertise, oh, it's got the custom label from, you know, a retired custom label. You're going to pay me an extra 10 or 15%. Give me a break. I wouldn't pay that much for them. Eric Williams says, I bought a few sci-fi pulps, Bad Hombre, last year, though. Haven't scratched that itch, though. The lack of comic inside didn't fulfill me personally, but lots of cool. Yeah, there's not a lot of comic inside. In fact, it's all stories, right? When you buy the pulp magazines, you're really buying, if you're for the art, you're buying it for the covers. And the covers are amazing. And quite, in many cases, quite risque. Quite risque. I love the covers. I got a small collection of 15 of them. Bought them for, yeah, you stole them. That's great. That's great. Oh, I jumped right there. Oop, yeah, I jumped there. Sorry. Nice. One of them was Startling Stories, January 1950 classic robot holding a woman cover. That's amazing. Hey, RP, how's it going? Eric says, ooh, that's a good one. Ones I got were a couple of bucks, couple of sci-fi and Western, not worth much, but at the time I couldn't pass them. And a Fantastic Story magazine, fall 1954. It is this issue show in Back to the Future. Oh, cool. That's cool. Marty McFly impersonates Darth Vader. It's a $4 book, but has small amount of mold. Comic Doctor to heal. Oh, that's I didn't know you had that one. That's awesome. Did you say? I think you told me that. That's awesome. That's really cool. All right, let's get back to the comics. There's a lot more to show you. You ready for a big one, guys? Check this baby out. Wow, unbelievable. First shot, 9.6, giant size X-Men, #1. Nothing wrong with that, my friends. Nothing wrong with that. Don't know if it was a crack. Again, if it's a crack and press. What I do now when I crack and press books, I take the labels and I put them in everyone's dossier so that when I go to organize their invoices, I notice it's a crack and press. I can't keep track. There's so damn many coming in. But that's awesome. 9.6 on that. We got a nice 9.8 copy of X-Men 244. Pretty sweet. Another nice 9.8 copy of X-Men 282, first appearance of Bishop. We got a booster gold to keep that 9.8 tradition going. Oh, hold on. Is it cracked? Oh, it's a bit of a chip on this one. Yeah, it's a bit of a chip on this one. That sucks. 9.8 booster gold with a slight chip right up here. That sucks. I'm not sure who that belongs to, but it's a 9.8. I'm going to put that aside. Maybe I'll try to ship that out with today's order. I might be able to put that in the box. And the chip is very, you can't even see. It's just a little right there. You probably can't even notice there's a little damage. You see that little chip right there? It's very hard to even see. I just heard the piece of plastic. If the plastic didn't fall, I wouldn't even have noticed it. So I'll put that one aside. That has to go back. We also have one of my favorite issues. 9.2 copy. X-Men 109. First appearance of Guardian. Oop, get in there. Another few 9.8s. You got a 9.8 copy of X-Men 244. 9.8 copy of X-Factor 24. Origin and first appearance of Archangel. Right there. We've got a 9.4 copy of X-Men Annual 14 right there. I'm just going to finish this box off, guys. I only got about two more. And then we have another 9.6 copy of the New Mutants Annual. They were pretty generous with this one, I think. Pretty generous. New Mutants Annual 2, first appearance of Psylocke. And yeah, that's in a 9.6. Quite a few ticks on the side there. Pretty generous. And last but not least, first appearance of Mr. Sinister in 9.8 copy of X-Men 221 right there, white pager, beautiful. So again, I've got 3 boxes that we have to sort, and I'll try to get that done tomorrow and let people know if their orders are finished so they can come in and pick them up. We are currently working on, like I told you last time, we kind of, I discovered we had an extra box of August books. I didn't think we had, but we did. So we're working on those right now. And in fact, there are a couple of July orders in there that I thought were August orders, and Brian knows what I'm talking about because one of those were his. And that's actually, they're almost done, Brian. We did half of them today. So those will get out pretty soon. Yeah. Now is a damn good time to get, if you have any books you want to have pressed, cleaned, and sent in for grading, now is a pretty good time. The turnaround time for the entire process, pressing, cleaning, CGC grading, shipping to Florida and back to me, and in some cases back to you, you're looking at about 3.5 to 4 months. If you guys have been following me for any length of time, for those of you who've known me since when I began, and a lot of you have, you remember how crazy things were back in the early days. You know, back in around 2011, 2012, when things were just insane, and I was the only show in town. Boy, it was busy. I'm going to tell you guys, the market has really shifted. People are being a lot more cautious, and rightfully so, of the books they are submitting. Guys who were submitting 50, 60 books are now submitting, 20 books, 25 books rather than 60 books. And I don't blame them because, especially when it comes to modern stuff, you don't know where this road is going to go unless you got a key that you know for sure is guaranteed to be. A key like for example, that Mr. Sinister book. Still a good book to get graded, especially if it's a 9.8. And something I've been seeing a lot more of lately, a lot more people doing the pre-screen option. Nothing wrong with that at all. And we've had some excellent luck and excellent results with those pre-screens. Okay, let's go back to the chat really quick. And then let's talk a little bit about the Marvels. And by the way, I'm going to talk about the Marvels as though you all saw it. I'm going to have spoilers. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, you might want to tune out when we get there. I'll remind you again in a moment. But Eric says the doc removes mold. Oh, no. Okay, mold, guys, are a bad thing. And I had this conversation with Bad Hombre. I don't like to work with mold for a couple of reasons. One, mold can spread. So if you've got a book that has mold on it at your house right now, keep it away from your other comic books. Don't put it anywhere near them. Seal it really well. And if it's not a valuable book, I would just turf it. Just get rid of it. That's it. I don't like working on moldy books for a couple of reasons. The main reason is, again, you can contaminate. Second, it's not healthy. I don't want to work. I've had some books that are so moldy. I'm not going to work on this and get sick working on a book. So I try not to even, if you got a teeny little bit of mold on there, we could probably handle that. But mold stains sometimes can be permanent. Again, it really depends on the book. And I don't advertise mold removal. When you have mold in your house or you have a mold, a piece of drywall, or you had a bit of water damage, you get mold. What do the mold abatement companies say? They get rid of it. They don't keep it anywhere. They don't try to get rid of it. They just cut it out like a cancer and get rid of it. So that's the way I look at mold. I just keep it away from your collection. If you see a book that has mold and you want to buy it, just don't buy it. Just don't buy it. All right. Bad Hombre, CGC's grading pulps right now, as of November. That jumped again. He has a paper expert, so I know that mold can be removed. Again, it's one of those things. Do you even bother to try? Especially on a book that's maybe not that valuable. It's not probably not worth it. Question for you, Doc. Does CGC have custom labels for Disney or Looney Tunes? No, they don't. They don't. They don't have anything from Warner Brothers. They don't have anything from DC. And DC, and think about it, right? DC is Warner Brothers, right? There's nothing for DC. It's only been a Marvel thing. And I found that it was very hard to believe because I thought that being Disney or a subsidiary of Disney or a company within Disney, I thought they'd have a hard time being able to use those labels. And I thought that Warner Brothers would be easier to get access to, but evidently not. So no, there's no Looney Tunes. If you want to see the current labels, you just got to you can just go to Google and you can type in current CGC custom labels and you'll find all the custom labels. But the majority of them are, Image has a few, or they had a few, and Marvel. That's pretty much it. Eric says, yeah, he probably can remove, haha, and yes, CGC will be doing pulps. I'm intrigued to see what the cases will look like. I would imagine there's kind of a cross between, because the pulps are friggin' thick, right? Those pulps are about just over half an inch thick. I had to create all these supports for them when I worked on them. And after I worked on them, they destroyed all my boards because they're so damn thick. Eric, yeah, okay, Spiro. Hey, Spiro, how's it going? Hey, Kevin, how far away till September submission? I have a bunch more to be doctored. Spiro, if you want to... We're very close to September, Spiro. If you want to add to your current order, you can do that. Or you can wait for another order. It's up to you. But we're close. We're close to September. We're very close. Brian says, congrats on the giant size X-Men. Yeah, I don't know who the heck that belongs to. 9.6. Gee, Brian, what should we do with that 9.6? What do you think? Huh? Guys, when I see 9.6s like that, I'm like, send it back. Send it back for a pre-screen for press. Have their experts press them and try to get that 9.8. Sometimes I do believe it. Sometimes I think you have to pay for those grades, man. But yeah, 9.6, beautiful. She's a beauty, all right. Moneyball says, woo, the comic they're live. Hey, Moneyball, how you doing? And yours is one of the orders that I meant to send out today. So I'm going to try to get that packed up and sent out for Friday, the latest Monday. I do apologize. I was going to go back to the shop, and I'm not going back to the shop now. I'm too tired. But yeah, yours are all done, and they were in a different spot. I knew there were more. Anyways, they're done. They're ready. They just got to be shipped. They will go either Friday or Monday. They will go. Bad Armory, great books today. Yeah, I told you it was a big box, and I got another. My next box, I believe my next box or two boxes has Carlo's X-Men #1 and a giant size X-Men #1, and they're both fun books to talk about. Especially, well, they both had some cool things going on, so I look forward to sharing those with you next time. So be sure to hit that notification bell so you'll be reminded when I go live again next Tuesday. Want to see the pulps? I know. I want to show you the pulps. Should I show you one? No, I'm not going to show them until he gives me permission. I'm not going to show. Maybe next week. I'll see if I can show you a couple at least. They're right behind me. I've got about 15, 20 finished. Yeah. And you have to humidify the hell out of those things. They're so old. Any news on your Black... sorry, that bumps there. Want to see the pub. Any news on your Black Friday Modern Book pressing sale? Actually, funny, Bad Hombre, we're having a staff meeting lunch tomorrow, and we're going to talk about that. Because we're also having an in-store sale, I think on the Friday, the Saturday. Maybe the Saturday, the Sunday. I'm not sure yet. So we're going to figure that all out. Keep your ear on your social media. I'll put everything on there. And yeah, there'll be something going on. You're very welcome, Brian. But would pulps be graded under tier? No, I'm sure they have their own. I would imagine they're going to have their own pricing. I would think. Go to their website. They should have it. I haven't checked. Maybe it's not. Maybe they're not ready to do pulps yet. But they did say November. So maybe it's like later in November. But I remember Matt Nelson coming on and saying that they're doing pulps and they're doing them in November. So, yeah. And I'm not sure how much it costs. But again, I don't think it's going to be much more than a magazine. Treasury says, hey, Kevin, any news on when some of your new services, deacidification, stain removal, cleaning, might launch? Is there a date set in the new year? I'm thinking we're trying to aim for like February. We're aiming for February. Yeah, that's what we're aiming for. We are in the process of just experimentation and playing around with stuff. And you know what I want to do? I don't want to like make it a guessing game. We'll try this or we're going to try that. I want to say we're going to offer this this, very structured services. So you know exactly what you can get from us, and with a price breakdown. And again, it's going to be, it's not going to be for every book, obviously, right? It's going to be for those special books that require that extra love, because it's a tedious, oftentimes a very tedious job, and the supplies are friggin' expensive. You would not believe what I paid for blotting paper. It was ridiculous. I got a lot of it, but it's still quite expensive. But yeah, very soon, but we're aiming for February, I think. February, maybe January, February. Mcu'S is heading on vacation in February, or in January. Yeah, and then probably when she gets back in February, we'll start with it. No worries. Okay, thanks, Moneyball. Appreciate that. Brian says, Kevin sent my Giants as X-Men 9. Kevin sent my Giant size X-Men 9.2 back to CGC for their pre-screen and clean. It came back at 9.4, but I think it looks worse than the job Kevin's team did. And I would have to agree. When Brian's book came back, it had all these friggin' like a ripple in it. It's not damaged, but it's rippled. And they increased the grade from a 9.2 to a 9.4. So guess what my suggestion was? Send it back. Send it back from a 9.4 and try to get a 9.6. Buy your 9.6. We'll see. But you know what? There's no rush. You can do that anytime. Sam says, I was watching Moneyball's 6 out of 50 video before watching this episode. Talk about a knockout punch. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, if no one's watching or going to Moneyball Comics, get over there. Get over to Moneyball Comics, subscribe to his channel, and participate and check out his videos. I usually watch his videos on Instagram. He has little short videos on there because, I'll be honest, I don't have tons of time to watch videos. I'd like to, but I just don't. But I did see the advert for that episode. I want to check it out because in the last video he's talking about I think the top 50 books that have maintained their value since being released in the last couple of years. I think that's what it was. Haven't seen it yet, but Sam's giving it good reviews, so that's a good thing. All right, guys. Okay, so I think it's time. I think it is time to talk a little bit about this. Where's it? There. This. Yeah. And I don't want to give. I'll give you a really quick, 1 minute review of this movie. And I'm sure you've all heard different reviews from different people. I'm a huge MCU fan too. And I can tell you the movie isn't the worst of them. But it certainly ain't anywhere near the top either. It's in the bottom tier of the MCU films. I might throw some spoilers here, guys, if you don't want to hear them. Maybe you can get lost now if you want, come back later. But, if you don't care about spoilers, stick around. The problem with this movie is the writing. You probably heard this as well. And you may have heard this somewhere else. The writing is awful. The story is convoluted. You don't know what the hell's going on. It's convoluted and it's silly. There's a couple of really silly moments in this movie. I should bring my wife in here because one of the silly moments, actually I think two of the, she liked them both. I couldn't stand them. I thought it was really irritating. Well, hell, I'm going to tell you. There was one entire scene. They go to a planet where they had to communicate in songs. They were singing. It was like a musical. It was a musical, like a whole 3-minute musical with dancing and the whole night. I was like, what the hell's going on here? So I didn't really care for that too much. The one good thing I thought I was going to hate them together is the three Marvels. What's her name? The Rambo version they didn't give her a name, so they didn't know what to call her, and it's kind of an ongoing joke. What do we call you? And she didn't want to have a superhero name, so we don't know what to call her in this. But Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, and Ms. Marvel, they actually worked really well together. And even though Ms. Marvel was extremely irritating in the previews, she was okay. Her family's in this movie. Like if you watch the Disney Plus show, her family is in it, and they really didn't need to be in it, and they didn't bring much to the movie, and I found them kind of irritating. And Sam Jackson was kind of a goofy comic relief character in this, useless. The villain, oh my god, the worst villain that they've ever had in this. In the MCU, I'm talking, she's up there with Taskmaster. She's even worse than Taskmaster. This villain, and you didn't even know the villain's name until the last 20 minutes of the movie. And guys, it was just poorly written, poorly executed. What a shame. Again, I always say what a shame when they spend that kind of money on these movies and they just don't knock it out of the park. This movie cost like $250 million to make. I think I heard somewhere. What was that? Like that? It's such a sad thing. But what I really want to talk about today are these Marvel movies. Like we all know that our hobby is slumping right now. We know that comic book sales, and I'm not going to talk about new comics, because I know really nothing about new comics. I don't buy new comics. I don't sell new comics. But when it comes to the second, from for back issues and key books and old books, Silver Age, Golden Age, has the Marvel Universe's decline as well as DC's decline, has that impacted these books? Because I'm going to tell you, when I started going to shows back in like around 2010, 2011, no one was saying much about the movies. I mean, they were doing well, but no one was like saying, oh, there's a movie coming out, so the price is going up of this book, or, Winter Soldier is going to be in the next movie, or they're going to do with this with Winter Soldier. All of a sudden, his first appearance cranks up in value. That started happening probably, by second phase of the MCU. Then all of a sudden, everyone was talking about speculation. Oh, this character is coming, or that character is coming, or this storyline's coming. And so it was almost by default, the corresponding comic book would crank up in value, right? And all of a sudden now, you'll notice things like Ultimate Fallout is falling. The prices are going down. Lots of first appearances. Miss Marvel's first appearance gone down. The Eternals, remember that? Eternals #1 and a 9.8 was like $3,500. Now it's like $400. So it's gone down like crazy, 90 something percent. So have the movies decline, the decline in the films, has that impacted these comic books? I think it has. And I'll tell you why. I think that when these movies were coming out, there was buzz and there was excitement and people were looking forward to the movies, right? I remember going to the comic shows. Everyone was people were talking about the comics, don't get me wrong, but they were also talking about the movies and the experiences they were having at the movies. After Endgame came out, or Infinity War, or Thor Ragnarok, or Spider-Man Far From Home, people were talking about their experience, the movie, and how much they were enjoying it. But then when things started going south after Endgame, all of a sudden there was this angst and this disdain for the direction they were going. And some people were pissed off at some of the character choices, some of the casting choices, the political jargon, the political messaging that was going on. People were getting really pissed off with all that sort of thing. And then now look at the Marvels. What did it make last weekend? 40 million, I think, or 22 million. It wasn't very much. Opening weekend, it was terrible. The lowest opening weekend for an MCU film in history. Is that not going to have an effect on our comic books and the values of our comic books? So I mentioned this on a Facebook page. I was met with lots of resistance. Oh, the movies have nothing to do with the comics and how well the comics do. I just find that hard to believe. What do you think? Please, someone tell me what you think. Am I wrong? Am I right? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Dave saw the movie, said he found it weird. It was just a strange film. Now that the strike is over, I'm hoping to get them back on track. Dave said he puts a poo-poo in there and a whole bunch of things. Will be great. What is that? Skull Poop L will be great. I'm not sure what that is. It made $47 million. Treasury says, I agree the movie is fine yet mediocre. However, I think Iman Vellani is a star. She is the best thing about the movie, and I'm excited for next-gen MCU films going forward. It all starts with better screenwriting. Yeah, the writing was absolutely terrible. She surprised me. I was really dreading her. They didn't make her look very appealing in those trailers. She was very whiny, but look, she's a young actor, and my wife said the same. She, that's the result of what a director is telling her to do. She's only doing what they're telling her to do. So I understand that, but she wasn't that bad. I did not mind it. I didn't love that they changed her origin. They didn't mind. I don't like that they changed her origin. They changed her powers. She was an inhuman. They turned her into a mutant. Things like that kind of bother me, but I'm just a bit of a geek that way. Oh, Deadpool. Thank you. Deadpool 3 will be good. Yes, I think it will, but I hope so. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. It's just these last several films. I mean, after Spider-Man No Way Home, I sat at Spider-Man No Way Home, and I don't know how you guys felt about that film, but I certainly really did enjoy that film. It brought the other actors back who played Spider-Man previously. It was a lot of fun, and the villains too. and they gave them something to do. And you think that when a formula works like that, why would you not continue with that formula? I was shocked, absolutely flabbergasted that when we went and saw Doctor Strange, that they didn't do the same thing. They just kind of gave, Professor X and Captain Britain and the others just a very or Peggy Carter, sorry. They gave them cameos, basically. They were killed off so quickly, and they didn't utilize them at all. And I was like, are you crazy? Not even one of them, not even to go on a real adventure. It was. I thought that was a really missed opportunity. I just couldn't believe they did that. I'm like, you just saw everybody freaking out, how excited everybody was when Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield came back, and people have been bugging and pestering the MCU to get John Krasinski in there to play Reed Richards, and you finally had a chance to do it, and you gave him a cameo and killed him off in 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes, 8 minutes. I thought that was a missed opportunity. And then, of course, don't get me wrong. Don't get me started on the whole Thor Love and Thunder. Oh, my God. That was just too much. Karen Rachel said, hey, Kevin, arg, just missed this. I don't suppose that Marvel Spotlight 5 Booster Gold was mine. I have no idea. Could be. Could be. I won't know until it gets actually. Sorted by my daughter. And like I said, the Booster Gold has to go back because that little crack. Unless you don't mind the chip. If you don't mind the chip, if it's yours, I'll keep it for you. But I would just send it back. They'll fix it. The Real Hyperion says, I think the best thing the MCU is doing now is the What If series. I watched the first one. Didn't see. Is there a second one out already? I had no idea if it was. I tapped out. I'm done. I'm done with the Disney Plus stuff. I started watching. I heard actually that Loki wasn't that bad. I watched episode 1 and I said, in my mind, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about any of these characters or what the hell's going on here. So I tapped out. So I'm done with that. I'm probably going to cancel my Disney Plus subscription finally too, because the Star Wars stuff's been no good either. Rob Binns says, apparently people are finding these films to be too woke. Well, they are too woke. They are way too woke. They, it's obviously it's an obvious mission statement for Disney to create movies that feature these types of characters, right? And it's not only in Marvel; it's happening over in Star Wars too. And like you saw Ahsoka, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't fantastic. But I mean, it was, there were no real male figures in this movie at all, or in this series at all. And what's wrong with being proud of being a guy and wanting to see yourself up there? I mean, I just don't understand it. I don't understand this. I don't want to sound like a closed-minded bozo, but I mean, let's be honest. The comic books, I'm not saying comics are for boys or men. I'm not saying that Star Wars is for boys or for men, but I'm going to say that the majority of the fandom is male. So why you would alienate your main fan base is beyond me. Like I was watching a clip today from, you don't like to see females. No, that's not true. I have no problem seeing female superheroes or female villains if they're written properly or written correctly. I saw just today, I was watching, a clip which came up on TikTok of was it Endgame? I think it was Endgame or Infinity War. I'm not sure which one. The one where Scarlet Witch and Vision are hunted down. I think they're in Paris or somewhere, and they're hunted down by two of Thanos' minions. I forget their names now. And the one female, she was badass. I think it was Infinity War actually. And so when Captain America's in the subway, when she throws her spear at him, he catches it. That female villainess, or the villain, that one of the henchmen of Thanos, she was fantastic, very intimidating, and she was cool, man. So just design them properly, write them properly, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just found it interesting. There was no male representation in this movie. Actually, the Marvels, there was no real male. There was, I think that the main villain, who was terrible, she had a sidekick who was male. And then you had Nick Fury, who was absolutely useless, and he was a bozo Nick. And by the way, this Nick Fury was nothing like the Nick Fury in that whole Secret Wars show, which also sucked. And then you had the Prince, Captain Marvel's platonic husband, and that's it. And there's a picture of him there right beside me. He had like in the movie for 3 seconds. There was no male representation. Like, why would you not have a male? Why would you not bring in somebody from the other ones, a popular male figure? Like I thought Shang-Chi might have popped in or somebody, or bring one of these guys back. I don't know. Promethea, that's the one. Yeah, I saw the name right there. Proxima, that's the one. I loved her. RP says, quality has gone down for sure, but overall, even the older movies were average. What about 30 movies and maybe 20 are average 6 or 7-star movies? Yeah, I think they really hit their stride, leading up to Infinity War. Like even like the, what do you call it? The Avengers 2, the one with Ultron was okay. It wasn't fantastic. But after that, when they got into Winter Soldier and Civil War, it started getting really good. It's even movies like Doctor Strange was okay, and Ant-Man was okay. They were good, solid films. Were they the best things in the MCU? No, but they were good. The writing was decent. The character building was fun. It was interesting. Then now it's just Star Wars is even worse though. I'm telling you right now, Star Wars is even worse. That Ben Kenobi show was god awful, absolute shite. Car and racer, don't worry about it, buddy. Don't worry. RP, it definitely a case of too much content during diluting the product. Hopefully they invest more money in writers to upgrade the quality. Yeah, and look at who the writers are. Look at who these writers are. I've seen. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but try to find interviews with the directors and the writers of She-Hulk and the directors and writers of the Marvels, and just hear how they talk. And like I remember reading or watching an interview with the lady who did. I could find her name here, who did the She-Hulk. Not a fan of comics at all. And by the way she sounded, she hated men. Like she's not a man, not very fond of men. The way she talked, and they were not comedy writers, and they're not they don't write for legal series, and they're trying to do a comedy legal series in She-Hulk. Why would you hire this person? Why don't Suits just finished? Why don't you get somebody who wrote Suits? Or Ally McBeal, or some of these people that actually have experience doing legal dramas or legal comedies, and bring them over. And here's a great idea. Maybe since you were trying to break the fourth wall and do that whole She-Hulk John Byrne thing, here's an idea. Maybe call John Byrne. Have him as an advisor. Maybe just to pick his brain, because he did it. He's the one who brought this type of comic about that was successful, and people were taken with. Maybe give John a call, and see what he thinks. But nope. A lot of arrogance, a lot of I know how to do this, I don't need any help, that kind of thing, and it's really disgusting. And I'm sorry to say, oh, you don't need to be a fan of this stuff. I don't think the director necessarily has to be a fan, but I think that the people who are producing it, the people that are running the show, like the Kevin Feige types, they should, they need to love this stuff. I really do. But what you said there, RP, about putting out so much content, you're right. They get greedy. They just want to get more and more and more. They don't care about quality. They care about this. They care about dollars. But they're getting a real pushback from the fan base. I mean, that's a real slap in the face where the Marvels gets that kind of box office on opening weekend, when they're used to getting over 100 million in some cases, and they're down like by more than half. That's a real kick in the behind. They know. And now apparently Captain America New World Order was not shelved, but pulled aside, and they're going to do massive reshoots, probably because it's probably filled with woke garbage, and they're going to go back and rework it. And how about the Blade thing? I heard that with Blade, I don't know if you heard this or not, and Mahershala Ali was not happy about this. They were going to make Blade not the main character. They had 4 female characters they were going to use as leads, and Blade was going to be like this subsidiary character in the background. You have an Academy Award winning African-American actor who's amazing, and you're going to put him, fifth in line, and put 4 other characters before him, even though the movie's called Blade. That makes so much sense, right? But that's what they were doing. So Blade also got pushed back and back to the drawing board, rewriting the script, and now they've also decided to make the movie restricted. So there you go. Balin Skull was an awesome character in Infinity War. Proxima, that's the one. And Balin Skull was awesome, and Proxima was friggin' awesome, yeah. And that actress who plays Proxima was actually in The Gilded Age, which is a very boring American version of Downton Abbey. My wife watches. I tried to get into it, I couldn't do it. But she's the lady who will do the voice of Proxima, and I guess probably the capture suit. She's on The Gilded Age. RP says, a couple of months ago, everyone was crapping on DC Studios and how they were falling apart. Now it's Marvel's turn. They've been crapping on DC forever, ever since Man of Steel came out. Which Man of Steel wasn't a bad flick. Certainly wasn't perfect, but it wasn't as bad as everyone made it out to be. But DC's been getting shat on for a long time. Played by Carrie Coon. Thank you. Brian says, I think the comic fan base is too small to support major motion pictures, so they are attempting to pander to a broader audience and water things down. Okay, listen, I get that. I don't think that everybody that goes to see these movies are comic people. But you know what? Check this out. Remember when Star Wars, well, if you're my age or not, look, if you watch the Empire of Dreams documentary, which features, which talks about how George Lucas made his movies, Star Wars, the prequels and the original 3 movies, they talked about how they advertised for Star Wars in 1977. And one of the main things they did was go to where? Where did they promote this show? They promoted it actually in 2 places. They promoted it at the San Diego Comic-Con, which at that time was not a big giant con like it is today. It was a tiny little con probably in a church basement. It was really small, and they pushed Star Wars there first. And they also got in contact with Marvel Comics and Stan Lee, and they produced the Marvel comic series Star Wars to help promote it. So what are you doing here? Did everybody read comics? Did everybody go to the Comic-Con back then? No, they didn't. But they planted that seed with the nerds, right? With the fans, with the fandom that would like it the most, right? With the Star Trek geeks, with the nerds, the comic book nerds, whatever. And even though it was for a broader audience, they went to where the heart of that fan base would probably be, right? And look I'm 52 years old. Who do you think my kids would have seen all these MCU movies if I was bringing my kids? My daughter is 16 and my son is 13. I was bringing these kids to the movie. Think about Jack's 13 years old. As soon as he was 3 years old, he was going to see the movies with me. And Charlie too, when she was a baby. I remember taking them both to see Dark World, and Jack could barely walk yet, right? And I'm not saying that only the nerds would do this, and I'm calling myself a nerd. Sure, why not? I don't care. I'm proud of that. I'm a nerd. But I think we have an opportunity to really push the excitement. You know what I mean? To get the excitement level up. And we talk to our friends, we talk to our families, and that helps spread it. I'm not saying that we're the begin all end all of the fan base. No way. I think for these movies to be successful, they have to have a broader fan base. But what they're doing now is you're saying that they're adding these characters in here and these types of characters, these types of people in there to represent different kinds of cultures and whatever. That's wonderful. But if all your story is a propaganda machine, people get tired of that. And then it goes back to the writing. Where's the writing? I have no problem with characters of different ethnicities, sexual orientations. I don't care as long as it's done properly. But when it's shoehorned in, or it looks a little like they're pushing an agenda, then, and they really are, it's pretty obvious that they're just kind of okay, we've got our checklist here. Okay, we've got that kind of character, we got that kind of character, we got that kind of character. All right, we're set, ready to go. That's not good. I don't want to see any of that. Just tell a damn good story and start from there. But Ragnarok was great with Cage Blanchett as the villain. Oh, I loved her. Sexy as ever, man. I love Cate Blanchett. She's awesome. She was amazing as hella. And there, you had guys fighting a female character, which I'd had no problem with. Those was the best. She's a good character. Hella's been in the comics forever, and they kept it true to the comic, right? Even the way she looked with the she looked fantastic. This character for the Marvels, this character was terrible. I challenge you. In fact, if you haven't gone to see this movie, go to see it just to see how bad that villainess is. And that's and in real life, it's Loki's wife, Tom Hiddleston's wife, who got that role. She was the most boring beige character Nothing going on there. Didn't even know her name. She had nothing going on. They don't explain. She has the exact same hammer as Ronan the Accuser. So how does she have that all of a sudden? And is there it's simply there's a power stone in there. But where the power stones? The power stones are gone. So I didn't understand why she even had that weapon. It made no sense. Don't even get me started. It was very, very angry. It gets me angry. New woke stuff's awful. You're right, Astro Lucky. I am with you on that. Dave Biason says, Fury. Bad Hombre, the thing is Marvel is trying to grab China as a giant customer, but China is an anti-woke as a... Exactly. So what are you doing? Dave also says, Doctor Strange in 4DX is my favorite movie experience ever. I never saw it in 4DX. That'd be pretty cool. Peter G says, I have to agree with RP. I also think the economy is having a big impact on the overall sense of emotions of the present time. Much more negative feeling. Yes, a lot more pessimism out there. And I'll tell you honestly, guys, I never even thought of this. People are struggling, and even though, I said it recently, whenever people come to the shop, how's business, Kevin? My business is fine. We're moving. We've still got a backlog, not a huge backlog as usual, but we still have a backlog. And the subs are coming in, just not as frequently as before. And is it because the comics themselves are losing value? No, I think it really is because the feeling outside is scary. People are very nervous about the economy. They're nervous about interest rates. They're nervous about food costs. They're nervous about gas and fuel costs, everything. And it's tough. People are struggling out there. People, comic books are not everyone's first thing they're going to go and work with, right? Or go to buy or play with. But then that being said, maybe going to the movies is not something that's very economical anymore either. I mean, I took my family to go see Marvels, and actually I got it in for free because I had a bunch of points. But I mean, that would have been a $120 night, right? And that could be another reason why this movie didn't make the big money, maybe. But then again, Barbie did okay, and so did Oppenheimer. So I don't know. People are just very selective right now, I think. And the trend of these movies has been going down. People are paying attention to Rotten Tomatoes. And if Rotten Tomatoes is saying the movies stink, then people are going to wait for it to come out on streaming. And, if you watched my show last week, I was hoping the movie was going to be amazing. So that second week would be like beat out the first week. But I don't think that's going to happen at all. But I wouldn't be surprised if the second week gets... No, actually, it's not. It's probably going to get like 20 million, 30 million this weekend. Brian says something. The She-Hulk series was awful and even managed to ruin Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock Daredevil for me. Me too. And then that last scene with Scar? What the hell are they thinking? What are you thinking? David says, super volcanoes in Iceland and Italy are going to kill us all soon, so we should enjoy while it lasts. God. Yeah, let's try, eh? Let's hope that doesn't happen. Astra says, Disney bought Marvel as a cash cow and are milking it dry. Same with Star Wars. They did the same thing. They don't care. Look at those Star Wars movies. Every one still made $1 billion, right? Even the shitty ones, The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi, as awful as those were, and as crappy and as detrimental as they were to the fans and to the actual franchise, so much so that people are talking about rebooting now. Reboot the whole thing. They all made $1 billion each. They did very well. But Disney did, Disney even went so far as to make that whole Star Wars world at Disneyland, and they chose to use the era in which we are currently watching. I mean, Rey's era. That to me is fine, but are you crazy? Luke Skywalker's era is still the more popular of them all. Darth Vader is still more popular than that goth kid. Right? RP says, plus there's a lot more in it for social media people than in news sites to be negative for more clicks and engagement between Instagram and Twitter this past week has so much. Yeah, you're right. Lots of negativity. And again, am I saying this movie's the worst I've ever seen in my life? No, God, no. But I'll give this movie a solid, maybe a 5.5 or a 6. That's what that's right. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, the movie's a 5.5 or a 6. It's not a terrible night of the movies. Just don't expect something fantastic. It's fun. There are some fun moments in this movie. The post-credit scene was a lot of fun. It finally gives people what they've been asking for a very long time. I think well, that's a whole other discussion. But you don't go to a movie to watch a post-credit scene, do you? I don't know. Actually, that's funny enough because a lot of people back when Phantom Menace was coming out, people were going to see movies just to see the preview for the Phantom Menace, the trailer. Agreed, Peter. Everyone is ignoring the elephant in the room in terms of economy. Not sure how it is in the U.S., but here it's about $20 a ticket plus food and probably another $20. Yeah, it's expensive. Now imagine bringing the whole family. Exactly. Brian says they're selling tickets, not stories, sadly. Yeah. A great film where they had a trans character with Silence of the Lambs who was the main villain. Oh, they'd never do that now. Right? But you're right. Great character. Not a character who's put in a good light, obviously, but you're right. But they would never put that character in that place right now. Did you guys watch that movie with Ethan Hawke, Dark Phone, Black Phone? It just came out recently. About 8 months ago, 9 months ago. Something phone. Anyway, Ethan Hawke was the main villain. Go figure. White guy, right? Who kidnaps the kid, and he's crazy, and he's kind of the similar character that you just mentioned from Silence of the Lambs, right? Good movie, but the villain's a middle-aged white guy, and that's pretty much where you're going to see us. That's where we've been relegated to now, guys. Reminds me of Star Wars fans getting too critical of the prequels, and I feel that probably with why Lucas said screw it and sold it. And exactly why. He was starting to get ready, gearing up to do another trilogy, and then I think just kind of recollected, okay, that was not a lot of fun. The fan backlash was awful. I'm out. And so he passed. He got out of it. But I'll tell you, if George Lucas had did not sell and went forward, did the 3, Luke, Han, and Leia would have been featured. For sure, they would have been. He wouldn't have ignored them the way that Disney did, which I still can't understand why you would do something like that. Yeah, I just. And almost no director or celebrities want to touch the IP. Yeah, I'd do it. Give me the IP, I'd do it. I would do it. I think give Robert Meyer Burnett the keys to the castle, man. Someone like that who understands Star Wars, understands Star Trek, understands these types of franchises, and he's got directorial experience, and he's got producing experience, and filming and editing experience. This guy would be perfect, and they don't tap him on the shoulder because he's too critical. He's too critical of these franchises. Whoops! If you hear him talk about these franchises and what they've done, you really do understand. He understands where the error of their ways. Give him a break. Let him call him up. Let him do it. Let him do it right. I don't know. Suits don't know how to create, man. I'm sorry. They don't know. It's like what they did when they shoehorned Venom into that Spider-Man 3. Remember that? We got to have Venom in it. Put Venom in it. And Sam Raimi was pissed. He didn't want to do it. But they demanded that character be in there, right? So, yeah. Does anyone not despise Bob Iger? Wasn't it Bob Iger who got Star? Look, when Disney first was acquired Star Wars, I was happy. I thought they're going to do a good job with it, and then they didn't, and they just consistently made shit. They've ruined. To me, Star Wars was even more powerful than Marvel. Marvel has obviously overtaken Star Wars now, but Star Wars had this untouchability. That's not a word, but had this untouchability to it. It was like this untouchable franchise. Even with the prequels, it was this very, I don't know, important franchise to everybody. To anybody my age, 50, 60 years and younger, from anyone who's born like in the late 60s. Anybody who's born like in 65, who's a fandom kind of person and up, loves Star Wars. And it meant so much to all of us. And to have them just kind of shit on it like that and to take us all for granted. We don't own it, right? We don't own it. Of course we don't own it, but there are things that we want to see, right? And show it to us, show it to us. They didn't. They didn't want to. They want to force feed us characters and situations we don't, Luke Skywalker would not have ended up like that. And if he had, his redemption arc would have been a little more, I don't know, glorious, I would think, than dying alone on a rock, but whatever. 5.5 or 6. What would you give them after a clean and press? 9.9, baby. Love Fraser Crane. I haven't seen that yet. Is the new series is good? It's on Paramount. I got to watch that. Was this better than Thor 2-4, Kevin? Thor 2-4 at Kevin? This was not, it was better than, if I had to sit down and watch Thor Dark World, I'd watch Thor Dark World. If I had to sit down and watch Thor Love and Thunder or Marvels, I'd watch Marvels. I liked it better than Thor Love and Thunder was freaking. I was actually kind of yelling at the screen a little. I yelled at the screen at once during the Marvels. I forget why, but I got frustrated with something that was happening that was really stupid. I said, oh, "Come on!" I just get mad when I see that. And I when I saw Thor Dark World or Thor Love and Thunder, I think I yelled at the screen 2 or 3 times. All that Taika Waititi did was beat the dead horse with a joke over and over again. That stupid goats over and over, and the love affair with the hammer with Mjolnir, and just okay. It's once, it's fine. Twice, oh god, 3, 4, the joke over and over. And I couldn't stand Russell Crowe as Hercules. He was just kind of stupid. It was a bad movie. Yeah, no, I'd watch the Marvels. And another reason I watch the Marvels because it's shorter. I'd get out of the theater faster, so that's a good reason. Okay, Kevin, have a good night. Good show. Yeah, I'm out of here too, man. Mike, take care. Dave, thanks. No problem. Guys, listen, I hope you enjoyed this show. I am taking off. I will be back again next Tuesday, probably 9 o'clock, maybe 8:30. I might try to go a little bit earlier, but I should have 1 or 2 boxes for that night. I won't always do a discussion like this, but this is pretty recent. I think it's something to consider as we whoops, sorry, I just hit a button here. It's important, I think, to consider what's happening in pop culture, because it does obviously affect our comic book collecting habits, and let's be honest, whenever one of these movies came out, it always inevitably would cause a book to rise in price. Just the mention of a character. Look what happened with the Black Knight. When they mentioned the Black Knight, all of a sudden his first appearance was at Avengers 47 went through the roof. Remember that? So these movies do impact the values of the comics we love, and perhaps the downfall of these movies, or the degrade of these movies, decline of these movies, coupled with the economy and what's going on out there, is really, really impacting values. Anyways, guys, have a fantastic rest of your week. I'll see you again next Tuesday. Please don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button on your way out. Share the video if you'd like, and hit that notification bell so you'll know when I do go live again, which should be next Tuesday between 8:30 and 9, around there. Guys, take care. Have a fantastic week. See you again very, very soon. Bye for now. See ya.